But I want to end on a positive note. And that positive note is from maybe our favorite actor right now. I think you and I are, for a lot reasons we've talked about, are probably higher on this guy than anyone else in the world, and that's Joel Edgerton. And he came out in this little genre horror flick, although after seeing it, I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, a film called It Comes at Night. We talked about the trailer on a previous episode of Brave Little Podcast. You've been very excited to see this film. What did you think?
Just right off the bat, I saw it on Friday night, and I loved it. I dug it so very much. It's an unconventional movie that is masqueraded as a very conventional movie. But by the time you get to the end of the journey, you realize that it's something completely different than what you expected going in. So for that fact alone, I absolutely loved it. And I wholly and completely recommend going to see this movie before it leaves theaters, which it's already on its way out. So go check it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, this is not this is an incredibly well told story and an incredible piece of filmmaking. The way that this story unfolds, and I know I've talked about this in other movies and how much I love it, where they just don't kind of lay out the scenario for you. They kind of put it together piece by piece to where you finally start to get a full picture of what the world in which these people are living in and what's going on. From the opening scene, which is an incredible thing because you don't fully understand what's going on for maybe until 10 minutes in. It just gives this bit by bit by bit that almost is like unsettling because you realize that this kind of post-apocalyptic world that they're living in is pretty terrible, but what's going on? Why is it that way? And why did they just bury this guy? And who is he? And what's the relationship with these people? And are there anyone else out there? And it everyone's asking those questions, and the way it starts to answer them is really brilliant screenwriting. And it's directed in a way that I think it makes it, I don't want to say like edge of your seat, but there's this like very, very building tension.
Yep.
And
throughout the entire thing.
But really the film is never really about, of course, the thing that's out there, whatever that comes out at night. It's a movie about distrust, about human nature, and the relationship between this family and then another family they come across. And I don't want to go into spoilers and go into any more detail than that, but it is brutal. It absolutely holds no punches. And is brutal in the way that it, that essentially, predicts how humans would behave in this type of environment.
Yeah, just to set it up real quick, like the premise is that there's some sort of virus outbreak that is affecting the world, and it's kind of like this, it's like a dystopian future kind of thing where there's not necessarily zombies that have taken over, but everyone who gets the virus dies. So Edgerton and his family have to basically hold themselves up in their cabin in the woods to protect themselves from being infected. So that's the premise.
And it's a heck of a little film. I don't know how much money it cost to make. I can't imagine that much.
But I don't. It hasn't made a lot at the box office, but it's so much fun, and it's such a fulfilling. It's an earned victory when you get to the end, kind of.
Although it's bleak, it's a bleak movie.
It's dark, it's bleak, but I felt like it's so honest that it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
because there was. I was pretty. I was enthralled throughout the whole film. It's really wonderfully made. And also, I just couldn't help but think about how grateful I am that Joel Edgerton, who could be doing any movie he wants right now.
Oh, yeah.
And he did have a little, there was like a run there where he did that Ridley Scott, like Moses movie with Christian Bale, where he probably got paid a ton of money. Then he was in that Johnny Depp, Whitey Bulger movie. He's getting offered all these types of roles, but he makes It Comes at Night, which there's no way he got paid a lot to do. But he probably read this killer script and thought like, yeah, I'm playing that role. And he was perfect. He was perfect in that role. He's so good.
He's probably my favorite leading man right now, especially if you need someone that's brooding and like kind of a tough guy, the alpha male type. He was just incredible as the father of this family, man. Oh God, it's so good. Go out and see it if it's playing near you. You're gonna enjoy it. It's a dark movie, but it's fun as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see. It's gotten great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It's in the 90%. I don't remember the exact where it landed, but it's in the 90 percentile on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, the cinema score and the audience scores are a little bit lower, just I think because of some of its bleakness. But if you really want a well-told story, a well-acted film, and an incredible piece of filmmaking, go see It Comes at Night. Yeah, it's a little unsettling, but it's not like a horror film in the sense where you're just getting this like slasher nonstop gore type of. It's not that type of movie.
No, it's not gory at all, but I would definitely say it's a horror film. So
it's a horror film. It's a horror film, but it's not in the sense of. I think people think horror film and they think oftentimes these slasher over the top violent films.
And that's kind of how the trailer sold it a little bit.
Sure, they have to, unfortunately.
But it's not. And I think that's one of the reasons weren't happy with it, with that low cinema score, is because they felt like they were going into a slasher kind of 28 Days Later thing. And it's not that. It's not 28 Days Later.
Much better.
Later. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, definitely.
Great. That should conclude this episode. Anything else, Aaron?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Thanks, and look out for our next episode where we're gonna review War Machine and rank some of the best Netflix original content. So, with that being said, as we say, hold on to your butts.
Thank you for listening to the Brave Little Podcast. Hold on to your butts.